Computer. All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us for tonight's team call. It is going to be a crazy October. If you haven't seen today, there's a lot of new things going on with the Coach Online office. All I can say is just be patient. Like, it's absolutely huge to kind of go from one thing to the next with like different websites and stuff. So just be really patient with what's going on. Even for me, like it's a little bit frustrating for myself, but you know, just like when you are a brand new coach, and even if we do have new coaches on, there's going to be a learning curve with like learning the new system. But they did put back in like the old Coach Online office. So you can kind of toggle back and forth. Personally, I'm going to stick with the old one for now, and then just kind of like do like little snippets here and there. I know there's going to be probably a ton of training on the new Coach Online office for us to learn. And I believe our websites are different. So it's not beachbuddycoach.com/your screen name. It's something else. I'm not sure what that something else is. But I believe if you put in the old website, it will just go to the new one. So you don't have to worry too much. But as we kind of learn a little bit more info on all that stuff, we'll definitely roll it out in the team page. Other announcement, I want to make sure you guys know of the team retreat. It's happening January 13th. It's a Saturday. In Newton, New Jersey. I need to know like at ASAP, and I know it's like super duper early, but I need to know like who's coming. The money is due not until December, so that's okay if you can't give that to me right now. But just like go into the Google Doc. I'll probably be posting it once per week now, just so like you guys can just let me know if you're coming or not, because a lot of logistics go into this. A lot of the leaders, you know, we got on a call last week and tried to come up with like what we want to do. And we need to know like who's staying at the bed and breakfast, who's not. You know, there's all that stuff planning that needs to go in it. So, you know, and I understand it's like what, 3, almost 4 months in the future, but I need you guys to kind of get on top of this for us to kind of really make this event really awesome for us. So I'm going to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, Megan. I don't want to pronounce your last name wrong, so you can say that for yourself. But Megan's been a coach since December 2014. She's an elite 2007 coach. And if you didn't hear before we started recording, she has 4 kids. So guys, like no excuses like whatsoever. And that's what she's going to be talking about tonight is when like life gives you obstacles, and kids really aren't obstacles, but how do you deal with all the life stuff that happens and kind of run your business too. And Megan's also a 5-star diamond coach, and she's been 32 months in Success Club. So really, really awesome. Just, you know, consistency. That's how you build an awesome business. So Megan, thank you so much for being on with us. And take it away and tell us how you pronounce it.
It's Pope, believe it or not.
I should say Pop.
Yes, I dated my husband for like 6 months, and he said his name was Nick Pope, and why would you ever ask to see it spelled? And then I saw it written out, and I'm like, what's happening here? Because I was an English major, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to marry somebody who's like phonetically spelling their last name wrong. So yes, I'm Megan Popp. I've been a coach, like Rose said, I'm coming up on the 3-year mark. December will be my 3 years, which is hard to believe. And as she mentioned, I'm going to talk to you this evening about how to persevere and how to find your groove when almost everything in your world is making it seem like you cannot fit this in. You know, I have 4 children. I had 4 babies in 4 years. They are currently 6, 4, 3, and 2. Well, almost 2. She turns 2 next week. And I work full time outside the home. And I am the perfect example of somebody that signed up for this after saying no for a very long time, and signed up with a like banner saying, I am never going to work this business. So, you know, if you have a desire in your heart to make this work, you have to believe that it's possible. And I know it sounds so silly, you guys, but where there is a will, there is a way. And I'm just going to kind of outline for you what my life has looked like since I've become a coach, how coaching has really saved me in so many different aspects, and how I have stayed consistent, because there's really no secret sauce. I'm probably going to say things that you've heard before, but maybe sometimes it's just hearing it in a different way that it kind of just like resonates and really hits home. So I became a coach when my third child was about 12 weeks old. We had moved from out of state. I was living in Columbus, Ohio. We moved to Lexington, Kentucky. And I was really grouchy about that. We found out like in January when I was early pregnant that we were making this move, and my husband went on to Lexington, and I was home with 2 kids pregnant for about 3 months. And I picked up this really terrible habit. I started very mindlessly wishing away time. You know, I would be like, I just can't wait till it's Friday and Nick gets home. I just have to make it to nap time. I just have to make it to bedtime. Like I was in this chunking phase, like where I was chunking everything out and really started just to go through the motions. So that's kind of like how January through April went of 2014. We moved to Lexington in April. We closed on our house one day, and I had this thought of everything's about to go back to normal. And we experienced the first loss of a parent the next day. My father-in-law dropped dead walking our dog, actually, of a pulmonary embolism, you know, and it was the first time we lost a parent. And if you've ever experienced grief like that, you know how challenging it can be, you know, personally, for a marriage. It was just, we're in a new city. We don't know a single person. And now we kind of have this very emotionally taxing thing that we're going through. So, you know, then I started thinking like, okay, it's only a couple months till the baby's born. We can go to Knoxville every weekend to see my mother-in-law. We just have to make it till the baby comes, and then life will be back to normal, which is a crazy notion that a newborn's going to like make life normal. So Charlie was born in August, and he was our first NICU baby. We'd never experienced that before. Our other kids were 18, they were under 3. So it was just chaos. You know, he was born in August. And before I know it, it's November of 2014. And I was so just not in a good place. You know, I don't really know that I was dealing with postpartum depression. My husband and I are both marathon runners. I didn't know where to get out and run in this new town. I always ran with running groups. I was really into CrossFit. None of the new gyms had daycare hours that aligned with what our kids were doing. I had a NICU baby that was like very, very susceptible to illness, so I couldn't really take him to a gym. So I called my girlfriend and was like, I'll try PIO. Send me PIO. Do you have any samples of Shakeology? Let me just try this. And within a week of trying PIO, trying Shakeology, I felt better than I had in the entire 11 months of that year. And something clicked in me that I realized, here it is almost the end of the year, and I had wished away that entire year. When I was a little girl, I didn't dream of like my wedding. I was like the person writing down all of my children's, like future children's name. You know, I wanted to be a mom so badly, and I really wasn't enjoying my time with them because I was just so overwhelmed with motherhood and with 3 small kids in 3 years and trying to juggle a new city and all of this other stuff. And I was really blaming everybody else around me. I was kind of mad at Nick for making us move. I was kind of grouchy with my parents because they didn't understand the stress I was under. You know, I was really placing blame on everybody but me. And in the challenge group that I first got put into, I was introduced to personal development. And so a combination that week of trying PIO, trying Shakeology, and reading You Are a Badass was the first book that I read. Within 5 days, I said, okay, I think I want to be a coach, but just to get the discount and just to plug into this community for more accountability. And then within about another week to 10 days, I was like, I think I could do this. So it was a very, very fast transition for me to, I would never work out at home, then realizing that I needed it. And then once I got into this world, seeing very early on that this could be a solution for me in so many aspects, not just the physical component. We already ate really clean, so I was really had a big question mark about Shakeology. But you know, I breastfed all my kids. Every time I worked out after a newborn, my milk supply would plummet. So Shakeology really helped me keep my supply up. So, you know, and the personal development component and the aspect of the community was filling that need of like my running club and my CrossFit friends. So it was just, I identified very quickly, you know what, other people need this. There are other people in my shoes that are hurting, and that it's nothing major, it's nothing life-shattering, but are just not as happy as they could be, and they're probably wishing away time. And I could do this. So my upline is a discount coach. So I really took on learning this business by myself very quickly. That's something I always tell my team. If you want to rock out this business, and if you have certain goals, everything that you possibly need is at your fingertips, and it's up to you, you know, not your upline, to figure it out. You know, it's wonderful if you have a strong team and if you have wonderful trainings, that's awesome. But everything is out there if you need it, and if you want to look for it, it's there. So I encourage you, wherever you are in your business, if you're a new coach, if you're just getting started, if you have some big goals before the end of the year, take ownership of that and really, you know, be your own advocate. I noticed in the team page these leaderboards, and I was like, I wonder what that is. Figured out what Success Club was, and as Rose said, I'm a Success Club 10. I'm like on month 32. So, you know, it's possible to have very little understanding of the business and not a whole lot of direction and still make this work. So I started off my business I thought that was great to hit Success Club 5 a couple months, and I was really feeling good about it. And I found out I was pregnant again. And so there was a crossroads where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I had all of these, I was enjoying it so much, but of course we all have doubts and reservations. When I signed up, I was 33. So I felt like, am I an old Beachbody coach? A lot of my bigger upline team are younger girls in their early 20s. And I just kind of felt like a little bit of a fish out of water. I've always been somewhere between a size 8 to 12, so I don't really look like a fitness model per se. And now I'm pregnant. So, you know, you have these things that you kind of feel like they pull you back, but I wanted to see what would happen. So I used my pregnancy as a launching pad to talk about fit pregnancies and really share my pregnancy journey as far, you know, with health and wellness. So that was another time that I could have stopped. And like I said, I still work. It's a full-time position, but I do work from home and I have to travel for work. So that was another hurdle that I've really had to try to figure out how I can fit this into an already packed schedule. We made it through that. Eloise, the baby, was born just fine. And a couple months after that, we found out we were being transferred again. And we spent an entire year with my husband in one state and us in another state, Monday through Friday. And that was last year while we were pushing for Elite. I didn't really know 100% what Elite was. My corporate rep called me after Summit and said I was trending that way. And I was like, oh, well, that seems like something we should probably pay attention to. And it really organically came together, and it was, it's more stressful this year trying to do it again than it was last year when it just kind of happened. But again, it was it could have been, let me pump the brakes here and let me back up and make a reason why it couldn't work. And through all of these different obstacles and all of these different challenges, what has kept me centered and focused on coaching is that coaching is what saves me. You know, it's what keeps me level. It's what makes me a good mom. It's what makes me patient. It's what makes me a good partner. And so I've never looked at coaching as something that's making my life more difficult or making my life more challenging. And that's not to say a lot of time and energy hasn't gone into this. But I think if you have the outlook and the perspective that this enriches your life, not complicates your life, it becomes a lot more fun and it becomes a lot more easy to grow with it, because I would be doing everything I do as a coach with or without being a coach. You know, I would be finishing a program and I would be drinking Shakeology, and it fills me up to share my journey. I don't think of it as a task that I have to do. So that's kind of what I want to circle around to is, you know, people have asked me what activities have kept my business moving forward given the craziness of the last couple years. And it really, you guys, comes down to the vital behaviors. And I know that that seems like, oh, really, that's what you're going to say, but it does. And you can use those vital behaviors as, you know, as a star to guide you when things get really crazy. We can get so inundated with trainings and, you know, the X, Y, and Z. There are 1,000 things to distract you throughout the day, and you could be pulled in so many different directions. And I know for me, I can kind of be like, you know, have such little attention span that I want to be everywhere. And when I feel really overwhelmed, I always go back to those vital behaviors. And when life has been really, really crazy, or I'm 2 weeks away from having a baby, or, you know, I'm very newly postpartum, I can work the vital behaviors into my life because the vital behaviors work for me. You know, being a product of the product, if you ever feel like you don't have a transformation to show and that you don't have a story to tell, you are not being a product of the product. You don't have to have crazy, ridiculous before and after pictures. I was in the Shift Shop test group, and that's probably, I've had good test group, or I've had good results from programs for sure. But that's been the most dramatic, you know, before and after picture I've had so far. But I've had plenty of transformation stories to tell because of being the product of the product. How I feel from drinking Shakeology. I talk all the time about my life before personal development and my life after personal development. You know, don't feel that just because you don't have some crazy before and after that you can't share your transformation. If you're being a product of the product, you have plenty to share when it comes to your progress in your health and wellness journey. You know, it can be as simple as doing the 3-day refresh. It can be as long as doing P90X3. You know, there's ample opportunity for you to be a product of the product. And that's important. You know, I was just reading the other day about this notion of self-integrity, and I'm sure many of you consider yourselves to have integrity with your colleagues, with your partners, with people on your team. And this notion of having integrity to ourselves, you know, if you pick a program, sticking to it. And if you're going to follow a meal plan, actually doing the meal plan, not just kind of picking and choosing when you want to do it so that it serves your social media purposes, but actually being able to have integrity with yourself and make a commitment to yourself. You know, that's more about me than it is the business, and that's being a product of the product. So that's the first one. Personal development by far has been the most life-changing part of this business for me, and I'm forever grateful. I have all of my challengers do personal development. We talk about it in my team to the point that they're probably like, Megan, give it a rest. But I believe in it so strongly. And no matter where you are in your business, there is something out there that can challenge you and inspire you and push you to grow in ways that you did not think possible. So if you're not doing 10 minutes of PD a day, you've really got to take a step back and ask yourself why. I mean, with Audible and with all the podcasts and everything that's out there, it's a no-brainer. You can fit it in while you're unloading the dishwasher, while you're commuting to work, you know, a million times throughout the day. So if that's something that you're not doing, do it. Like, give yourself the next 90 days of this year and see how you transform and see how you look at your business differently and how your business transforms by doing your personal development daily. It's easy to do it a couple days a week, get inspired by it, and then kind of go back to what you were doing before. It's that consistency of doing it daily. Inviting. Like, what are they? So, you know, inviting is something that people kind of feel nervous about and it feels scary. But if you're doing those first two things, you're going to want to talk about it. You're going to feel good. It becomes a lot less scary to invite to something when you are actively sharing your journey. People are going to ask you, what are you doing? And then you can say, hey, doing this new program. It's called Shift Shop. Do you want to check it out with me? It doesn't have to be a cold, hi, I'm a Beachbody coach. Would you like to buy Shakeology for me? People think that. But if you're doing those first two things, you're going to be inspired to talk about them on social media. And then inviting is not that scary. But you have to be asking people to join you. Still at this point, I'd say not even half of my business are people reaching out to me, and the other half are me still making contact, reaching a multitude of free groups and challenge or paid groups, but it's got to happen. You can't just do the first two steps and then never ask anybody to join you. And if it feels scary, do it more often. The more you do it, the less scary it will be, I promise you. And I don't think it'll ever feel 100% not scary. I mean, I still get like butterflies in my stomach and get a little bit nervous, but I sit down and I make myself do it. One of my top tips is I'm a list person, so I will write my list out the night before of who I'm going to be inviting the next morning. And once I do my PD and once I do my workout, I kind of do a miracle morning type routine in the morning. The first activity I do of the day is making sure I send out those invitations. And I hate calling it that, but you guys know what I mean. So, make sure that you are actually inviting. I've seen a lot of coaches do the first two and then just not want to put that last part of the puzzle together. And then they sit back and they're like very frustrated that it's not coming together. And you have to take ownership of that. And then lastly, the recognition piece is so awesome. That was not a vital behavior when I first became a coach, but I'll tell you where I use it and it gets me a ton of traction is in my Transformation Tuesday post. I always highlight a challenger and give them recognition and celebrate their wins. And it can be anything from physical to, so I will often have people that have had recent lab work done and, sharing how much their lab work has changed over the course of the last year since being a challenger, somebody that did a first half marathon or first marathon or 5K. You can think of so many different ways to do Transformation Tuesday posts, Woman Crush Wednesday posts, whatever you want to do so that 2 or 3 times a week, you're giving recognition to your challengers. It's a great way to plant the seed as coaches. I just did it a moment ago and I messaged her right before I got on the call with you guys and said, hey, you're about to get an influx of, hey, what are you doing? Tell me about what you're doing. And I'm like, we can talk about this more tomorrow, but you really need to think about becoming a coach before you send all that business my way. She's been a challenger of mine for about 4 months. She's killing it. I've already planted the seed about coaching, but I get a lot of my challengers turned coaches from those recognition posts because their friends and family are going to see what they're doing. They're going to ask them about it. And that is like this perfect scenario for that person to think, oh yeah, maybe I could do this. Why would I pass all of that business over to Megan, So it's a really nice system that moves your business forward. It's an action that you can take that makes your challengers feel good. It makes those other challengers feel like I'm a part of something. I love when all of my other challengers comment on that person's transformation. It strengthens that bond and that community and the trust that they have built with one another and the way they look to you as a leader. So those 4 vital behaviors often kind of get pushed to the bottom of the barrel because we have so many other things to do. But I promise you, if you are consistent with those things and look at those behaviors, not as things that you have to do, but that things that you should do or that you get to do, that's our accountability as coaches. I talk to my discount coaches about the 4 vital behaviors because I think it preps them for maybe actively coaching down the road. But when I bring on somebody and they want to be a discount coach, I want to give them that extra level support and that extra level accountability. And a great way to do that is to teach them the 4 vital behaviors. And the recognition piece there, I say, like, think about one person in your life this week that's made your life easier and thank them for it. So it's a really good way to lay the foundation, plant those seeds. And over time, like I just had 2 coaches when Team Cup rolled around in August who have been discount coaches for 18 months or longer. And they said, hey, can we be in the Team Cup? They're in my team page. I said, sure. And one ended up with the SC8 and one was SC6. So it lays a nice framework to really make your entire team feel like they're a part of something. And we string so much back to those vital behaviors. So that's kind of my big ramble. I hope that was helpful to you guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a ton of moms on this call, so I'm sure one of the questions is going to be, what does your day look like? How do you handle the 4 vital behaviors and 4 kids and being a wife and everything else?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not a morning person at all. My husband, when we got married, he was like going into work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was like staying up until 11:30 at night, and we were totally flip-flop schedules. So this is a learned behavior. This is not my natural makeup at all, but I do get up every day, depending on the day, between 4:45 and 5:15. And this started when I started as a coach. And I'll tell you how it kind of came into play. Charlie always had a 4 o'clock feeding, like for so much longer than the other kids. And he was a really slow eater. So at the time, 18-month-old was always up by 5:30 or 5:45. So there was this moment that I realized that those 30 minutes that I got sometimes to get back in bed were not going to solve my exhaustion problems. Like, that sleep wasn't going to do me any bit of good, but maybe doing a 30-minute workout would give me more energy. So that's kind of when I made that transition. So now it is much easier for me. But most of the last 3 years, I have gotten up between, like I said, 4:45 and 5:15, and I always do my workout first. I try to put my phone somewhere else. Where I am now in life, I go into airplane mode from about 8:30, 9 p.m. until like 7 a.m. the next day, so that I really can have some time to shut my brain down and really rest at night and not be like on my phone dilly-dallying. I get better sleep that way. So I'll wake up at 5 and do my workout. I do about 10 minutes of meditation. I use the Headspace app. I love it. I do a really quick devotional, and then I read a chapter of a book typically. Now, I still have one child, that third, that never slept. He still gets up with me most mornings by 5:30. So Charlie will be, or if you ever watch any of my videos or follow me on Instagram, he's in the back of them frequently. He's playing. And you know what? I've had to just learn to tell him, like, I'm not giving you breakfast right now. It's dark out. It's still mommy's time, and not feel bad about that. Like, not feel like I'm being a bad mom, because if he eats at 5:30, then he's hungry again for second breakfast at 7:30. So that's just kind of what we do in our house. And then, like I said, I'll make that list of names that I'm reaching out to. And if I can get those out around 6 a.m., which is kind of a crazy time to invite somebody to a challenge group. And it used to make me nervous, like, oh, they're going to think that I just wanted to buy something. I don't even think about that anymore. That's just when I reach out. Then we do our morning routine and get kids off to school and all of that stuff. So I don't work again on Beachbody stuff until nap time. And at nap time is typically when I check into challenge groups, follow up with any messages, and add to my network. So that's normally, a 30-minute period or so during nap time. And then kind of at the end of the day is when I will go back in this hour between 8 and 9, depending on when I get the kids in bed, somewhere in there, go back and answer any messages, check into my challenge groups one more time, check into my team page one more time. And then I do 10 minutes of PD again before bed. So that's kind of how I break it up. If I'm traveling for work or have a more crazy day, then I play around with it. But the morning is my most productive time by far.
So you still work kind of part-time or full-time too, on top of this?
I do.
That's
I do.
awesome. That's cool.
I do.
I really liked what you said about like being a product. We hear, all the 4 vital behaviors, we hear it like so often. But I just started the Ultimate Reset with Lisa, and I don't think Ashley's on. but like you have to be excited for something. You have to do something differently. And I know like, yeah, the containers can be like the same old, like, yeah, I know I should do the containers from start to finish and like use everything. Do something differently. Like do the 3-day refresh. Hello, 3 days. Do the ultimate reset. I mean, it is freaking amazing. And I forgot to mention to you guys too, tomorrow, my upline and Jess Bryson were doing like a little lunch and learn about the ultimate reset, why it's so awesome, what it's done for us. So that's noon tomorrow. But be a part of the product. Do something different. If you're doing 21-day fix over and over and over, you're going to lose that enthusiasm, and people can sense like, womp, womp, womp. Like you're doing the same post, you're doing the same thing. Do something differently and be a product of the product. Anyone have any questions for Megan?
If you've never done the ultimate reset, I would totally do it. I love it, love it, love it. I've done it twice, and I feel like it's something that everybody should do at some point. And just to piggyback what Rose said, we have so many programs. Like I've never done P90X3. I have a half marathon on Sunday, so I am just kind of easing into P90X3 this week, and then I'm going to finish the year out with it. But, coming off the Shift Shop test group, it was such a fun experience, and I was kind of having like this push-pull where I've been doing Shift Shop since May. Like I need to switch it up, but I also really liked it. So I was kind of like, well, I don't know what program to do. And I kept thinking about programs I've already done before. And I'm like, you know what? I need to do something totally different. So really come outside of your comfort zone and just keep it fun. You will have so much more fun if you're having fun, and your people will feed off of your energy.
Awesome. Anyone else? Anybody? Come on. Questions? All right. So I'll ask one last question and we'll let you go. You obviously probably have a huge why, a big vision for this, or else you wouldn't push so hard, because this is hard, right? Like this isn't easy for you. So what is that for you?
So I would say it's twofold. One, we do move a ton with my husband's job. We've been married 9 years and we're in our 5th city, and I've never done this. I grew up in the same town, went to a college like 40 minutes away. And I don't think that he would ever want me to like quote unquote retire him. Like you hear some coaches say that's what they're pushing for. But I would love for us to have a little bit more control in our life so that the next time they say, hey, do you want to move to XYZ? We can be like, you know what, we're good. We'll wait till the next opportunity, just to give us more power and more freedom and not be at the mercy of like, and he has a great job and that's fine, but it's a tough life with 4 kids to imagine moving every 2 years for the rest of our life. Like I can't even think about that. Like it just makes me sick to my stomach. And then the other thing would be in my former life, I was a high school English teacher and a varsity basketball coach. So I've always loved connecting with people. And I lost a big part of that when I got married. I started working for a market research firm just because all of the moving, I couldn't keep up with licensure in different states. And, I went to college to have an impact on students and connect with people in that way. And I haven't done it in the last 10 years. And it fills my cup to be able to help people. So I would say that's the other part. It keeps me, it reminds me of things that I like outside of just being a mom. And that's the most important job, but it's nice to have something that I can be really proud of and I can feel like I'm honestly doing something that I'm meant to do. So I would say those 2 things kind of summarize my why.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on and taking your time out to talk to us. Are you going to be at the leadership conference?
I am. I'm super excited.
That's great. I'll see you there.
Yeah, sounds good. It was nice to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks everyone for hopping on.
Yeah.
Good night.